Welcome back to continuing coverage of the GAC Volleyball Media Day. At this point now, we welcome in Northwestern Oklahoma State with first-year coach John Bingesser, as well as Tarra Parks. Coach, thank you for joining us here. Welcome to the league. We'll begin our media day here with an opening comment from you on how fall camp has started, and then we'll have questions to follow.
Right on. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much. I'm very excited to be part of the GAC. I know this conference is so tough in volleyball, and I'm really pumped to be a part of it. So far, I think that we've had a great preseason. We've been working really hard,
We'll begin our media day here with an opening comment from you on how fall camp has started, and then we'll have questions to follow.
Right on. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much. I'm very excited to be part of the GAC.
Has it on? There's someone that has it on in the background, perhaps.
Yeah. Northwestern part of it. So far, I think that we've had a great preseason. We've been working really hard.
We'll begin our media day here with an opening comment from you on how fall.
Hey, we're sorry about this.
And then we'll have questions to follow. No problem. Last week during football, it was me that had the stream on up that you heard.
There we go. We had the live stream playing in the background, and so all we could hear was just the playback of what we were saying. So sorry about that. But no, back to our preseason. I think everything's been going really well. We've had really good practices, really intense. We have had some ups and downs pretty early, a couple injuries, but you know what? I think there are things that we can go ahead and recover from. And you know what? We're looking forward to the opening of our season next week at Missouri Southern, and I'm excited to begin this journey.
Can't hear you, Joey, if you would.
Hey, listen, I was unmuted.
Well,
in one place anyway.
Your microphone may have been muted.
That's all right. Anyway, that's okay. We're going to get through this Northwestern one, Coach. I promise we will. Listen, you bring a wealth of experience to the table, not only on the court, but on the sideline, spending a significant amount of time in Kansas. So playing and coaching coaching in Oklahoma. Talk about what you bring to the table and what comes from where you are before. So much success in your previous job.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a great experience at Highland Community College. I was there for 7 years. I think the positives that I can bring here to Oklahoma and to Northwestern is just the connections that I've made over the years. You know, when you're at a place for 7 years and you see the success that you've had there, you really do build a lot of connections and a lot of networking. I think I have a pretty good recruiting base in the Kansas City area as well as Missouri. And, you know, we're pretty darn close to Kansas as we are, right? You know, we're just 15 minutes away. And so we're definitely not out of the realm of my recruiting area. And so I'm excited to still continue that recruiting base and bring those kids here. Also utilize my junior college connections. Knowing what it's like to come from a junior college to a 4-year school. I know there are a ton of girls that want that opportunity and are hungry for it and will bring in experience.
Yeah, I have had I've been to Alva a number of times, and head coaches tell me that you can look to the north and see some fields in Kansas. Not far away. So I'm sure you're not far from home. When the folks in the GAC have an opportunity to see your teams this year, what should they look for from one of your coach teams?
They definitely should look for dynamics. I mean, we're a pretty diverse team skill set wise. I definitely came in and made a couple changes just in our previous roster from what it was in the spring to now. I've called upon the girls to really buy in and dig deep. We're definitely going to be a team that won't go away, especially this early on. I think as the future goes on, things that you should look for is athletes. I mean, at Highland, you know, I was able to recruit girls that in my mind at the end of the day probably had no business going to a junior college. They should have gone somewhere earlier or somewhere higher right off the bat. So I think as my career goes on here and we get more settled in, definitely look for high-level athletic girls.
Tarra, last year, so close, and Northwestern the last couple of years has been right there in the mix. And last year, tied for seventh with two other teams. And unfortunately for the Rangers on the outside looking in when it came to conference tournament time, what do you bring and what do you carry over from that experience into this year?
So ultimately, I think what we carry over is we don't ever want the feeling of not making the GAC tournament again. We were so close last year and we had so many games where if we just could have flipped, we could have been competing for 5th or 6th in the conference instead of finishing 9th. So I think ultimately it's lighting a fire under us to work hard and make sure we get there this year and be definitely competitive.
What has been the buy-in to the new coach and the new field this year? Talk about playing under someone new.
So ultimately, coaching is completely different from last year. And it's been tough for some girls to buy in, who, especially some of the older ones who have been so accustomed to the last coaching styles. But getting everyone to buy in is ultimately what we're working towards right now and becoming a more cohesive team unit.
And how do you then not just express that then, but carry that over? What do you see your role is on a team like that and in encouraging more of the buy-in?
So ultimately my role, as far as playing, it's kind of up in the air right now. I'm working at a couple different positions, different spots, but trying to get the younger girls who maybe weren't recruited by a coach to buy into his coaching style and what to expect, and just showing from a leadership standpoint what's expected and the new way this program's going, and getting everyone to get on the bus and get ready to go.
You know, your roster shows something similar to Italianette that we had from East Central last time. You get outside, but also defense. That's quite a mix there. How do you not justify those roles, but how do you find a way to get them together and it show up on the court?
So really, all through high school and my early years here at Northwestern, I was playing outside and being 6 rotations, so playing the back row too. And at some point we needed a libero. So our previous coaches looked at me and said, "You're the person for the job." So I really honed those skills and worked towards that and kind of put hitting on the back burner. At our scrimmage yesterday, I was setting. So like Coach said, we're very dynamic. We're switching it up a lot. We've kind of been bit by the injury bug. So kind of trying to fill some different roles here. But ultimately, just wherever he puts me, trying my hardest, doing my best, and buying it.
Coach, I'll ask you about Tarra then. I love the word dynamic. I think that's a great word to use. I'm looking forward to getting to see how that plays out on the court as well. But in light of that, then, if there have been, some injuries, then getting to see Tarra out there, how do you utilize her best?
Well, so Tarra, right away when I got here, I was fortunate enough to have a week to work with the team last spring, and immediately I honed into Tarra, just her personality, her leadership skills. You can tell just from walking into the gym. You don't even have to see the team practice. You know that she's kind of a leader, somebody that the girls look up to. I mean, she's a superior athlete. She's also played multiple positions. And so I knew that I could rely on her almost as like a liaison from coach to players. And so this fall, especially, I've talked to her about, hey, where I see her on the court, what I see her saying to the other kids, what I see her doing on the court, and what I see her saying during live play. And she's really been a person who is receptive to the things that I've given her and is able to project them in a way that a coach would want a player to project to other players.
Coach, with the April hire date, what things did you kind of find like you really had to emphasize first, as opposed to say being a November, December hire, and what things did you kind of have to maybe hold back on being able to implement when you first got to Alpha?
Well, I won't lie to you, being hired at the end of April was not the most ideal timeline because, I've never recruited in the summer in my whole entire career. We're usually always been done by spring break, and maybe you find one later on. But for me, after that first week, I knew what I had to bring in. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty proud of myself for bringing in the 3 transfers that I was able to. I went back in time and got a couple girls from Highland who one was going to go to Fairbanks, and then mom said it was too far. Then she was going to go to Rockhurst, too expensive. And so she took a year off, and now she's back with us. Another one just finished her 3rd year of college at Black Hills State running track, where she was a All-American heptathlete. And I'm like, do you want to come back and play volleyball? And she's like, absolutely. So she was a Highland girl for me, a middle. And then I was able to find a transfer setter from Lincoln Land Community College, again, just utilizing my junior college connections and resources there. And so, I'm actually pretty excited with the fact that we were able to get a couple big dogs that can come in and produce for us in such a short amount of time. But I will, again, be honest, I cannot wait to have a full year to recruit.
Well, Coach, one thing you'll soon learn is you probably don't use the word dogs too many times around there in Alva. So Tarra, what kind of you maybe gone to coach to say, what should he expect coming around this league as someone who has gone through this league already? What have you leaned on him or told him what he expects or what he should expect coaching in this league?
So honestly, coaching in this league, I think you can expect not the same teams always being at the top. Every year, I feel like there's some team that pulls it out, and they were 7th or 8th last year, and now they're competing in the top 3 of the conference. So really, it's very dynamic. Teams, the order of who's the best changes every year. So we really have to be on our toes every single game and ready to go, ready to play.
Coach, headed to Missouri, then Texas, then Tennessee before the GAC schedule gets underway properly. Talk about the opening to this season.
I'm excited to go to Missouri Southern. I think it's going to be a perfect opportunity for us to kind of show what we have right away, but then also maybe set the tone for what the rest of our season is going to be. I mean, that's a tournament where we could go 4-0, we could go 0-4. It just kind of depends on how ready we are mentally and how ready I can get them prepared before we get there. Ideally, we'd like to go there and again shell out a little bit so we can set the tone for the next tournament. I know when we go down to T-Dub, it's going to be tough. I mean, they were at a scrimmage we were at yesterday, and I was able to watch them for a little bit, and they're a pretty good team. And so I know that's going to be a tough tournament. We also play a couple MIAA schools in our first couple tournaments, and they're always tough. So to see competition like that before we can start GAC play is going to be so beneficial to us, because we need to be exposed before we start this tough conference.
Coach, as someone who has made much of the troop on I-40 going from your side of the state over towards Jackson, Tennessee, I can give you some good spots to hit and where to avoid when you cross the state lines and come over to Union. So be sure to let me know when you make that trip, and I can tell you where you go. Just as we wrap up here, just kind of, your first year expectations for this team. I'm sure obviously here to get back to the 8-team tournament there going on, but what kind of you focus on your team and what you have set for this first year with the Rangers?
This experience so far has been awesome, and I can't say anything but positives about it. I think that I've set the tone for these girls. I think I've established what our expectations are. And, if we can execute the way that I hope we can and make things work. I mean, like Tarra had said, we've been bit by the injury bug, so the universe hasn't really been shining on us quite yet, but we're going to make everything work. That's just what you got to do when it happens. And I think that our standard now has been raised a little bit. The expectations are higher, and just little things that may have been, entertained before are not, because we have a higher focus this season, and moving forward, those focuses change every year, and the standard gets higher and higher. And I think that we're en route to do that.
Coach Tarra, thank you very much for joining us here and giving us a look at the Rangers. We thank you all for joining us here. For those sticking around, Henderson State will be next here on our media day. Again, Coach Tarra, thank you for joining us here, and good luck this fall.
Thank
Look forward
you.
to watching
Thank you
you
so
all.
much.